Hi again. This quick video is going to be about weaving in ends. I'll do a bit with working in rows first, and then I'll do a bit in working in rounds, but really the principle isn't very different, to be honest. So I've done 2 rows of double crochet, 12 stitches to the row, just in a stick of yarn so you can see better. Bear in mind that this is my personal choice of doing something. It may not suit you. You may prefer to put the ends in towards the end. I usually crochet things together, squares, etc. for blankets, and that's why I tend to weave all my ends in. However, if your personal choice is to stitch your particular pieces together, you may want to leave some ends free so that you've got the ability to do that without having to introduce a new strand of yarn. So for this I'm just going to I've got 10 stitches here, so I'll just do one more and get to the end. And as in the colour change, I'm going to complete this stitch with the new colour. So we complete this stitch, just give the old colour a tug to ensure that you have a nice neat edge. Now at this point I'm going to chain 1 because I know I'm going to do a return journey of double crochet. I just pull that loop up just so I can get the hook out of the way, because it can be a bit of a hindrance rather than a help at this point. Then I'll cut a length of the original colour and turn my piece of work over as if I was going to do the return journey. At this point I am deciding that this is the wrong side of my piece of work. And with basic stitches it doesn't really matter which side you decide is wrong or right, but it looks like in some of the cal, obviously with your flowers and such, you will be dictated to as to which is the right and the wrong side. So all I will do now is just, if you see the V's across the top of the work there, I'm just going to feed this tail along the front loop that's nearest us of the V's, right across, quite a far way, because we're going to crochet over this, and that's what secures it into the piece of work, and that is what prevents the need for any knots, which you can quite frequently feel and see in a piece of work. And as I've got enough length and I want to try and keep my piece of work as even as possible, I'm just going to go right across to the other side, always ending on a downstroke to keep that tail out of the way. This tail at this moment in time I am not going to do anything with, but I'll show you what I personally would do with that. So what I'll do now is start with my new colour. So I will tighten. Oh, got a bit of a twist, right. Here we go. So we'll do our return row. So just bear with me while I complete the row. It appears in the pattern that there are a lot of colour changes, i.e. that you're just doing one row of one colour and then being requested to change the colour again for the next row. So because of that, I will do that in this case. I will do one row of this pink, and when I get to the end I will complete the row with the blue again, so I can explain what I would do in those circumstances. So we start the stitch with the pink and we complete it with the blue. Now I've decided this is the wrong side, so I'm going to make sure all tails hang in that direction. So pull that up. Again, I know I'm going to do a return journey in double crochet, so I will just chain 1 and make sure that that end doesn't come away. Now in this case I will cut the pink. Sorry about that, peeps. So we have 2 tails to weave in. My personal preference is to weave this one halfway and to weave that one halfway, so it keeps your piece of work nice and even. So I'll just do that now. So I'll just give that a tug to make sure that it is neat, and then feed again your needle through, and we're going to use the front rows of the V's as a means of weaving. You don't necessarily have to use a darning needle, you could just use a smaller crochet hook to do this. I just find a darning needle's a bit quicker. So we go up and then finish on a down, and then do exactly the same with this end. So just thread that, bring your tail around, feed it up through that stitch, give a tug for neatness, and then down, up and down, up and down stroke, and finish. And then we can continue with our new colour, which I'll do now. So this tail is the tail to the new colour. So off we go. We'll do a full row back so I can show what it would look like. So you're weaving in as you go, and to be honest, I still think it's quicker than trying to weaving at the end. And on top of that, you have the advantage of no knots, and the advantage of you cannot see or feel where the tails are with the actual colour change. So just put one in the end there, make sure I collect 2 strands to ensure a nice base for that final stitch. Chain 1, turn over, and we'll weave this blue tail in so we can crochet over that. So again, feed it up the first stitch and down. I'll take that hook out because it's becoming a hindrance. Down, up, down, up, down, up and down. And then I'll finish this row. The only time I will ever use a knot is on the very last row, because there's nowhere for you to weave it without it being visible apart from down the back of the stitch. So I'll just finish this row for you, and I'll snip the ends off so you can see its appearance. And just go to the end, last stitch, pull up, we'll finish off. And to finish off, you simply yarn over, pull through that final, give it a nice tug for a nice finish, and then I would weave it through these stitches that I've just completed here, and I will just snip. Unless you know you're going to be attaching the top of this to something else, you could weave it through the top as we have the other pieces. So if you just give them a tug and snip them off as close as possible to your piece of work. You cannot tell at all. It's nice and smooth, there are no knots. It's a nice smooth transition from one colour to the next. Like I've said, if I knew that this wasn't going to be attached to something and was my finishing edge, I would weave that end in here and snip off at that point. And again with the bottom, if you know that this edge here is going to be attached to something, again just weave through the bottom of the chain and stitch over it, and then that'll be a way of hiding that tail. So that is how I would do it with working in the row, and I'll do a short video next on how I would do it in the round.